Welcome back to Insulation Insights presented by No Gap Insulation. I'm Ben, and today we're going to guide you through conducting a self-assessment of your home's insulation. By the end of this episode, you'll be able to calculate your home's No Gap Insulation Comfort Index score and understand what that means for your comfort and energy efficiency. Let's get started. First, let's recap what the No Gap Insulation Comfort Index is. It's a simple yet effective tool that measures your home's overall comfort based on insulation, quality, and coverage. The higher your score, the more efficient and comfortable your home is. Now, let's go through the steps to assess your home.
Hi, I'm Jessica, and we will walk you through the self-assessment process. We'll be focusing on 4 key areas: your roof space, walls, floors, and windows. For each area, we'll evaluate insulation type, thickness, condition, and any potential gaps or drafts.
Let's start with the ceiling space, often the most important area to insulate.
What should listeners be looking for?
In the ceiling, check the depth and condition of the insulation. Measure the thickness. Ideally, it should be at least 195 millimeters of insulation. If it's thinner or compressed, your score here will be lower. Also, look for any visible gaps or areas where the insulation has shifted.
Next, let's move on to the walls. How can listeners assess wall insulation, especially if it's not visible?
Wall insulation is tricky because it's hidden. If your home was built after the 1980s, it likely has some wall insulation. You can check by removing outlet covers or using a thermal camera to spot cold spots. If you don't have proper wall insulation, you might consider retrofitting, which can significantly improve your comfort index score.
Now, let's talk about floors. How do they contribute to your home's overall insulation?
Floors, particularly those above unheated spaces, should be insulated. If you have cold floors in the winter, that's a sign of poor insulation. Adding insulation under the floorboards can prevent heat loss and improve your comfort.
Finally, let's not forget windows and doors. How do these fit into the comfort index?
Windows and doors are common sources of drafts. Check for any gaps or drafts around the edges and make sure they're properly sealed. Double glazed windows are ideal for insulation, but if you have single pane windows, consider upgrading. Even adding heavy curtains can help improve your score.
With all this information, our listeners can now score each area of their home. How do they calculate their overall comfort index?
Each area, ceiling, walls, floors, and windows, gets a score from 1 to 10 based on the quality and effectiveness of the insulation. Add up the scores and divide by 4 to get your average no-gap insulation comfort index score. For example, if your ceiling scores 8, walls 6, floor 7, and windows 5, your overall score would be 6.5. That's a great way to see where your home stands. In our next episode, we'll discuss how to improve your no-gap comfort index score with targeted upgrades. Thanks for joining us on Insulation Insights presented by No Gap Insulation. Remember, a more comfortable home is just a few steps away. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Stay comfortable.